Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be playing with the new release gloss sprays from Dina Wakley, and this page or these pages are completely inspired by the very amazing talented artist Michelle Logan, who you'll find on Instagram. Michelle has a beautiful way of applying colours to a page, and in particular how she works over stamped images. I'll talk about when we get to there. At that stage. Her line work's just phenomenal, and all her work always inspires me. So I'm starting off this page trying to be as loose as possible, and you can see me pouring on some of the gloss sprays onto the page. Now this page isn't primed, I don't have gesso on it, so all the colours are sort of just flowing into the page. I'm using a brush to sort of move around the colours, and I've used mineral, carnation, a little bit of fuchsia, and now I'm going in with some gilt. The gilt is a metallic colour, so it's actually got some metallic specks in it, and it's quite a yellowy gold colour, I suppose. It reminds me of cheddar, except it's got a bit of a metallic glint to it. This one's also aloe, which is a soft green colour. So the new release is all the pastel colours and some of the metallic colours from the Dina Wakley range, which are some of my favourites, and they work so well together. One thing I've found with the colours I've got, they just blend beautifully together, and they don't tend to make mud. Even though there's some opposite colours in there, you can, because they're sort of the similar palette, they work really well together. So once I've moved all the gloss sprays to where I want them, sort of a bit of an abstracty type go, I'm just stamping an image onto some tissue paper. So particularly because the book I'm working in is quite textured paper, I find stamping onto tissue paper is the easiest way to do this to get the clearest image possible. I'm stamping out two images. The second image is slightly larger, but the part of the stamp I actually want will fit into this little bit in the corner. So I'm trying to be a little bit clever with my spacing and actually just rubbing the tissue on. Now that doesn't give you a perfectly clear impression, but it certainly gives you one that you can still see okay. If you can turn it over and stamp it out properly, you will get a better impression. Once I'd finished with my stamping, I'm just drying off my page to make sure that when I glue everything down, it will be okay. I'm also going to be adding some collage to this page. So this is from a very old text. I don't know where, I do know where I got it from. One of my arty friends sent me, she does book collections for the big book swaps of recycled books, and she's the one who gets to go through and sorts out books, and when she finds something interesting or vintage, she sends me some, which, so I'm very lucky. Thank you very much, Kerry. The stitching I'm using is from an Australian company called Scrap FX, and it's stitching lines onto rice paper, so a bit like the collage tissue. Once you put gel medium over it, it sort of blends into the background, so you just get left with these stitched lines. I am not a sewer by any stretch of the imagination, but I love that effect on pages. So the fact that I can just use a little bit of tissue and create the lines of sewn lines on the page is awesome. I do know that Tim Holtz, I think, has a range of stamps that are stitching lines, so you could just stamp onto it, which is an awesome effect too. So if you've got those, have a go, and if you didn't and you're willing to put your journal through a sewing machine, you could do that as well. So I just don't sew, don't have a sewing machine, and this is a lot easier for me. So once I've glued down the stitching in different places, I'm then going to glue down my second focal image. And again, I'm sort of overlapping everything. So I'm overlapping my collage, my focal image, giving everything some grounding on the page. It's really, really important when you're gluing down or creating focal images on the page that they touch an edge in some way, shape or form, so that they're not floating in midair. Once I've got everything glued down, I'm just drying it off, and you can see that the tissue stays fairly translucent, which is pretty awesome. I'm now going in with some of the Medieval spray, which again is a new spray. You can sort of see the shine in this, and you'll certainly see it in the close-up at the end. This is like a gunmetal grey. It's got a very bluish tinge to it, which is beautiful. I'm also using the carnation straight out of the bottle to act as some cheek highlights as well. So when you get your gloss sprays, you know, they're not just for spraying. You can tip them out onto your page like I did at the beginning. You can use your brush in them. You can use the end of the stick to flick them around the page. They're really, really versatile ways of applying acrylic spray to your page. Once I've dried everything off again, I've just gone in and put in the whites of the eyes, and I find this helps to give a focal point to the page. I'm also going in with some white line work on my page, and this in particular is a trait that the wonderful Michelle Logan, who this page is inspired by, does. She likes to go over her stamped images and add extra line work to it, so extra shading, just extra random lines on the piece, and it just finishes the image off. It makes it look really interesting. It makes it look hand drawn, and yeah, it just completely transforms the images that she's got. It's very hard to explain, but I would really encourage you, and I will leave the link to her Instagram page in the description box below, and I do encourage you to go and check out her artwork because it's phenomenal. So this is very much taken in homage to her. I'm now going over with my food ball pen, and again adding in some of the extra line work just to brighten up some of the lines and make them pop out again, particularly on the image on the left hand side where I didn't stamp it out perfectly, so I just wanted to darken those edges up a little bit. Now I am going through trying to find some words to add to my page. So I always like adding some focal text to my page. I find for me in journal pages that tends to help me tell a story a little bit. So I went through my Dina Wakley stamps and found these two stamps, which are some of my favourite. I tend to put these on an awful lot of things. And it's Stop Thinking, Just Create, Life is Art. And I love using these words together. So I've again stamped them onto the tissue paper so that I can rearrange them any way I want, which again gives you a little bit of versatility when you're stamping out text, that you don't need to keep it exactly the way that it's been produced in the stamp image, so you can actually cut them apart. And it helps you when you're sort of rearranging, or if you've got space issues on your page, you can sort of work out how it's going to fit in together. By stamping it onto the tissue paper and using the gel medium to glue it down, again everything sort of just melts into the background and you just get this beautiful floating effect of these words on the page. To finish off, I've just again gone back with the Medieval, just to add a little bit more of that grey tone to the page, and done some splatter over the top. And now I'm going in again with a white pen to add some highlights to the text. I find that again helps just make it look a little bit more hand-drawn, or the hand of an artist's been on it. Just be aware to let your splatters dry. I didn't quite, so I ended up smudging some of my little spots on it. So yeah, always make sure everything's dry. I'm then going in with some heart washi to finish off my page. So this is the close-up. I think on the yellow you can sort of see the metallic shine in the light. The gloss sprays are gloss, so they do have that beautiful shimmer to it. You can see how the sprays also overlap each other and interact with each other, which is just a fabulous way that they sort of flow over the top of each other. So this page is fairly simple to do and lots of fun, and a great way to explore your gloss sprays. If you have a look in the description box below, you'll find the links to the wonderful Michelle Logan, who this page was inspired by, and you'll also find links to where to find the gloss sprays on the Ranger website as well. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.